good international uilleann piping tune because it was one of the first big piping tunes I learned. Yeah. And Gareth Barry was a blind piper himself from Ina in County Kerry. So during the time after the famine, so he's going to come up actually a few times during the set. And anyway, thanks so much for having us again. A very old piece called Gul na Man Sonar. It's one of the very few descriptive pieces of music in traditional music, and it describes, it really translates to the lamenting or the pain of the woman of the battle, kind of a thing. So, and the battle in question was the battle at Clonachnanus in North Cork during the 1600s, and it was one of the battles of the Three Kingdoms. I'm not a great historian now, but yeah, this is what I know anyway. And the man one of the main men that died in it was Alistair Macaulay Chudda MacDonald, big long name, and he was actually a Scottish man, but he was fighting for Ireland with Munster, and they lost, unfortunately, anyway, and he passed away. And so there was loads of pieces of music written about it, but this is one of the main ones. So it's an air and a jig, and yeah, I've always just been fascinated with it. It's just beautiful, and give it a go. But there's a much different version, and Karen Goodman was also based around Cork. Yeah, so anyway, so then these next two reels are also Cork tunes, which is great for me. So the first one is called Quills, and I got it from Johnny McCarthy, and then the second one is called Three Castle Head, and that was written by Johnny McCarthy, and Lily was just walked in but know all about him. So he would have been my teacher in the School of Music, and it's just a great fella, and MacDara was in college with me as well, so these are for him. way to Washgrid. So it's really, it's very much a Washgrid song as well, in fairness. Nicholas Toville used to sing it. And it was also recorded by Andres O'Muireann and Nelly Cronin, and I think Danny recorded it, so it's been recorded by loads of people. It's just a beautiful song. And yeah, it's a love song, but it doesn't really go totally right at the end, really.
No. I never do.
No, never. So, yeah.
Sorry about all the tuning.
This is actually my fault that MacDara is tuning the whole time, by the way, because these pipes, they're in C, so although it doesn't really.
No, it's just the car is bad for the instrument.
And the way there's the whole lot. Yeah, but as it was International Inland Piping Day, I should tell you about these pipes. These were made by a man in County Clare called Derek Gleeson. I don't know, there's definitely lots of people that have been to Coor here in Midtown Melbourne, and that's where his workshop is. So it actually says Coor somewhere here on the pipes as well. But people who have been to Coor know.
Very different experience.
Very different experience. To a lovely wholesome pipes workshop. But anyway. So anyways, this is okay. And I'm going to dedicate this one to Tom. gailge I daoine a UCC. Bhí sé de ceart go gachfuil an sin rá gailge, didn't it? Well, Tommy chun le núteráid le go Parklewski. We're going to carry on now with 2 slick chicks, and the first one is a tune of my own, which I wrote for my nana. It's called The Tap of Bellabon. Bellabon is a lovely townland in Cork, and when you reach the top of this hill, you can see out to the sea and over as far as the Fastnet. It's really beautiful, and my nana used to always go cycling up there. So when she was very old and she lived with us, she used to have one of those mobility things, you know, and she'd be cycling and she'd be saying, oh, I'm at the top of Bellabon now. So anyway, so that's for her. And then the next 2 are from the Goodman collection. The first one is called Shoheen Show, and the second one, I couldn't find a name on it, but it was number 80B anyway in the collection. There you go. And sure, yeah, and there's a big West Cork connection there with Ken Goodman as well. Kind of big, but.
Tuning and 10% of the time playing out of tune.
I should say, so these were made by someone there, but MacDara actually, MacDara actually made his bouzouki himself.
Which is why this is more out of tune.
No. No. If you're ever looking for a bouzouki,
don't ask me.
Anyway, so few slick chicks anyway.
It's pretty good.
So it's Faola very freedom. Around Ella I can scrolling or go through screen. So it's I have two little yellow goats. There's a viral video that went around of Earlo Leonard and Steve Cooney singing this song. I don't know if anyone knows. But it's very good. But they ended up taking it down. It must have been very good.
Too good.
But anyway, too good. So it's just a nice little fun song that doesn't make too much sense really.
Yeah. Anything for a baby sleep.
Yeah. But it's a podcast. Lick my heart. trying out Faola sit downs. It's a very old version of the Ace and Deuce of piping, which is lovely sit downs. But it's there's a very old recording of Nell Galvin, who was a fiddle player from Clare, playing this, and she would have learned from Garrett Barry, who I mentioned earlier. So the Garrett Barry, she learned from him, I think, as far as I know, in here. And so this must have been a version that she might have had, because it's a very kind of pipey kind of version with all the C naturals. But there's a recording of her anyway on SoundCloud if anyone's interested in that. It's just very different. And then we'll go into the New Domain, which is a tune I learned from a recording of Shane Sims. I'll release there soon. There's lots of little bits in that tune, which is great. So we're going to put you to sleep now, send you all off. But you have to wake up again because you probably have lectures to go to. So this is a lullaby called Muireann, and it's in Scots Gaelic. I was learning it from all over it's a lullaby in Scots Gaelic, because I was learning Scots Gaelic on Duolingo there for a while. But that was during lockdown, and I keep saying I need to go back to it, and I haven't. But
I will. They teach you lullabies on Duolingo, no?
Huh?
They teach you lullabies on Duolingo.
Oh no, that was me doing my own private work. I'm a very good student like that, you know. Anyway, so but yeah, we have the ITMA here, but over in Scotland they have a thing called Tubber and Dúchais, and it's amazing. There's loads of different old recordings on it, and I found a woman called Agnes Curry singing this song, and she was a housekeeper, and the man who recorded her was his house, let's say. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's a bit like Margaret Barry and Alan Loma. Same situation there. It's very interesting. Anyway, so that's that one. And then we'll go into two tunes then written by Johnny McCarthy again. And the first one is Marshall na Manstrach, and the second one is Ohuig. So they're dedicated to the Northman and the former president of CIT, which is empty now. So thanks so much for having us. It's been so lovely to play here. So good, really, really good. I hope you have a lovely day now. I hope you get a chance to go sandwich or something. It's fun to talk. Anyway. And thanks so much, MacDara.
Oh, it's
Hallelujah.
Bye.